Hello, travelers! If you're planning a trip to Europe and wondering how to handle multiple languages, we've got you covered. We just spent 3.5 months traveling through Europe, visiting Turkey, Portugal, Spain, Italy, and France. So we had to navigate a mix of languages along the way. Today, we'll share what it was like in those places and our top strategies for communicating when you don't know the language. So, Jed, let's start with how much English we actually encountered in each country.
Right. It was pretty rare that someone didn't speak English because we were mostly in areas that see tourists. There were a few vendors here and there, but it wasn't a big difference from one country to the next. It really wasn't hard to get by in any country. Again, it's not so much the country, but whether you're in a tourist area versus, say, a rural area where they may not encounter as many foreigners. Or even within the same city, shops or restaurants for tourists will speak English or have English menus or picture menus, while grocery stores and other places that maybe only locals go to may not have many English speakers.
So, let's talk about some strategies that travelers can use depending on how much of the language they already know. So, if you don't know the language at all, learning just a few key phrases can make a huge difference.
Right, so at the bare minimum, these will take you far. Greetings like hello and good morning. For politeness, things like thank you, excuse me, sorry. Do you speak English?
So, the next level up would be some basic phrases for the interactions that you're most likely to have as a traveler. So, phrases like, where is such and such, and how much does it cost can come in handy a lot. I also like to learn the numbers whenever possible, as it's been really helpful to understand when someone is telling us prices or the number of a train platform. Even just knowing how to say the numbers one and two will help you often when you're ordering at cafes and restaurants.
Knowing just these few words can open doors and show respect to locals.
And my other tip, if you don't know the language but you can read the alphabet, is that learning the rules of pronunciation is usually worthwhile. This way you can be better understood if you're reading off a menu, for example.
Yeah, it's easy to look up a YouTube video on pronunciation for almost any language.
For anything beyond the basics, using the Google Translate app can really help out. Jed, how often would you say that we used the app and how well did it work?
Yeah, thanks to our eSIM and having connection to data, we were able to use Google Translate and find out things for like grocery store ingredients or restaurant menus, or you can use your phone and use the camera feature and it can do real-time translations. I would just say be aware that some of the translations are more like keywords and they're not perfect direct translations. So you kind of have to have like a sense of humor when you look at it and also think of it like a little puzzle.
So it's especially useful for reading menus, asking for directions, or even having short conversations.
And here's a tip. Download the language pack for offline use so you're not stuck without it when you need it the most.
If you could use step-by-step guidance on the many ways to use Google Translate, our smartphone savvy travel course walks you through it.
Right, so let's talk about if you already know some of the language or you have time to learn before your trip.
Right. Even though I did know French, Spanish, and some Italian, and then tried to learn some Portuguese for this trip, it's still tricky to switch between them. So I'm sure a lot of travelers can relate to the wrong language popping out of your mouth. So after 2 months in Portugal saying obrigada for thank you, I really had to be mindful to switch to gracias and then grazie. So, something that helped me is to spend a couple days moving the appropriate language to the front of my mind before we switch to the next country. For example, I like to listen to coffee break language podcasts, which have lessons for Spanish, Italian, French, and Portuguese. And this is what I would listen to on the plane or the train as we were arriving in a new place. And for the languages that I knew better, like Spanish and French, it's also fun to watch TV shows or movies to help that vocab come back.
Another trick that helps overcome language barriers is using Google Maps. It automatically translates reviews, helping you understand any tips written by locals about the restaurants or attractions you might want to visit.
Of course, Google Maps also helps you get around in foreign countries. We use it on public transportation and trains to double check that we're getting off at the right stop in case we don't understand the announcements by the train conductor.
If you have Michelle's Google Maps Travel Hacks course, you can review the lessons on navigating public transit for more tips. Well, we hope this discussion of ways to navigate multiple languages while traveling has been helpful.
Be sure to check out our courses for more practical tips. And if you're an Intentional Travelers Toolkit member, you already have access to all our tutorials and guides, so you can refer back to them whenever you need.
Bon voyage!